and welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle podcast. My name is Samantha, and today I'm joined by my fellow wafflers, Lloyd and John. Hi, Lloyd. Hi, John.
Hi, Sammy. You all right?
Yes. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Good.
All good.
Enjoy lockdown.
Enjoy lockdown part 3. Yeah. Lockdown 3D. It is, isn't it now?
I know.
I think we've got. Yeah, it goes beyond sequels, doesn't it? You know. So.
Yeah. It's a bit intense. But in this episode of Sharing a Waffle, we have a very, very special guest. She is my favourite YouTuber, of course. And I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. It is DiscoLiz. Yay!
Hey.
Thank you for joining us, Liz. Thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy YouTube schedule. Although I don't actually think you're doing much just now, are you? You're taking some off.
I started filming again 2 days ago, but I had a nice week-long break. It was very nice.
Nice. So how are you this fine 2021?
So far, so good. We're off to a good start, mostly.
Good. We have to keep hoping and praying.
I know. Fingers crossed for a better year.
Exactly.
Staying positive.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I want to get to Florida this year. So
I know.
Just got
to get you back in the fog.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to get back to having hornets for sure. So I found your channel years ago when you lived in Florida and your content was kind of like theme park related and Halloween Hornets related. Then by the time you moved away to Texas to see and stay with your wonderful partner, Mike, who we all love, shout out to Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
We kind of became friends just by chatting through the comments because you obviously like chat to everyone because you're so nice. Oh, and you just hit like 5K. So like, well done. Yay! 5K subscribers. And you let me cling on to you during Halloween Hornet.
Literally.
So, yeah, like literally cling on to you. So yeah, we became good friends and I'm just so happy to see you now back in Florida and I'm very excited to see kind of where your channel's going to go now. Obviously there's a lot of restrictions and stuff still with theme parks, but hopefully soon you'll be kind of in the parks and doing all that. So I just want to thank you for being just an awesome person and for inspiring me to create my own YouTube channel. So
I know it's been fun watching your videos now. I get to see the other side.
Yeah, I know, but you were the main inspiration behind me doing it. So thank you. You gave me the comments. So before we do our quick fire carousel of questions, do you kind of want to tell us and everyone listening or watching what your channel is about?
Can I ask a question first, though?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, go.
Yeah. Can I just call you Liz?
Yes, you can.
And
First to be named.
How did you get the name DiscoLiz? Because it sounds such a fantastic. Do you know something? If anyone ever called me Disco John, they'd probably never seen me dance.
I like to pretend it was based on the Disco Yeti. But it's not. It was a high school nickname that just stuck with me. And when I started YouTube, I wasn't planning to post videos. So I just put my screen name as my YouTube name and it stuck. So I'm still DiscoLiz, now the Disco Yeti.
Is it inspired? Is it Disco Stew in The Simpsons?
There's Disco Stew in The Simpsons.
DiscoLiz.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, she's not good.
What a cool nickname that would be at secondary school, at high school, though. That would be fab. I can think of all the nicknames that people get through high school.
Yeah, it's not one of the worst I've heard.
No, it's really not bad.
I
embraced it.
I like that.
50p Sammy is one of the worst ones I heard.
50p Sammy? Is that me? I wasn't saying, I don't know where. I don't know if you're just making that up to make fun of me. Lloyd likes to make fun of me. They like to pretend that we're not actually friends, and I just pretend we're friends.
My friend Liz, but yeah, if I can call you Liz rather than Disco Liz,
like all right.
In the mood for dancing all evening.
Nightmare. So yeah, what's your channel about?
So typically, I would say in a normal year that it would be theme parks, travel, haunts, and then weekly vlogs. The past year, it turned into more weekly vlogs with a few smatterings of trips in there, but not too much.
Yeah. Lockdown, killer.
So mostly theme parks, Horror Nights, a few other haunts in there, and then our weekly normal lives now in Florida.
Yeah, I know. I love watching your weekly vlogs. I don't know why. Like, I think about my weekly vlogs. I'm like, no one will want to watch me just like doing nothing.
That's what everyone always thinks.
But that's the thing. But I just love watching your weekly vlogs. So I was like, oh, there must be someone out there who will watch me just like.
Everyone thinks their own life is very boring.
Yeah.
But yet we love watching others' vlogs. So you just kind of have to get over that hurdle of thinking your life's boring and just share. And
that's the thing. You just kind of need to start filming, don't you? And just do it.
Just get into it.
Just be yourself. Isn't it a lovely affirmation of what you were doing for the weekly vlogs, that your subscriber numbers were going up and up? You weren't doing the parks and you were doing your weekly vlog and your subscriber numbers are going up. Your views are still there. It's like,
and
it's affirmation. People want to see it.
Most of the letters and cards I get, they're talking about the weekly vlogs. They're not even, they love Disney or they love Horror Nights, but they talk about the weekly vlogs. So it's really nice to know that even during pandemic and having to stay at home, that people still want to watch and still want to be part of our lives here.
Yeah. And I can't wait to like eventually meet the 3 puppies.
Yes.
Three doggies.
They're the stars of the vlog, really.
No, they are.
I know the truth.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to the Carousel of Questions. We do that with kind of all of our guests.
Okay.
There's kind of 13.
Yeah, don't think you're special, Liz. We do this for everybody.
Yeah, we do it with everyone, so we have to do it with you. I know, exactly. So there's 13 questions, and they're meant to be kind of quick fire, but like in this longer format, we can kind of expand on things if we want to.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I've said this to a few people as well, is just go with the heart. There is no right or wrong answer to any of the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just go with your heart, and then everybody will think worse of you when you finish.
They'll just judge me after.
Yeah, exactly. You know, people will judge you either way. So just Okay, so your favorite park?
Epcot. Nope, other side. Epcot.
A ride that you hate?
Well, we'll stick with Epcot and say Frozen Ever After, because Maelstrom forever.
Yes, Maelstrom. Yeah. I thought you were going to say Rock and Roller Coaster, or no, the one at Universal. What is it called again? Red Rocket.
Oh, I also hate that one, but I don't have like the visceral hate that I have for Frozen Ever After, because it hurt me.
So Maelstrom, would you run through the theatre to ride it again? Say fireworks are going on, so avoid the film. Run 100%. Through before the doors closed. Did you ever get caught by the doors when you were running through?
No. Can't recall ever getting caught by the doors.
That just you, Lloyd. Just you.
Yeah, just me. We'd leave it to the last minute and try and sprint out. And yeah, there's been a few times we've been caught.
No, you never dilly-dally when it was that. It was just like, no, we're not staying for the film, boys. Keep going.
Zip through.
Go on, tell us, what's the most overrated snack?
I would say the turkey leg. I've never had one.
People still even eat that anymore.
I've never wanted one. They smell bad.
It's the smell, isn't it?
I don't get the hype.
No.
Lloyd, you like them, don't you, you weirdo?
Do you know what? I used to. I'm thinking back to sort of 2000 and so like 13, sort of 10, 13 years ago. I'm sure I remember them being all right, because I'd have it. I wasn't on the dining plan, and I'd have it as like an evening meal. And I remember just the pink meat was nice, but I think I've had one since and didn't like it. So they've either changed or I was deluded back in 2007.
I think it's the latter.
I must admit, Lloyd, I actually bought some proper turkey legs last Christmas, and they were huge, like the ones that you'd find at Walt Disney World. And then I started looking at recipes, so you get that similarly sort of the pinkish look to the meat. And you know something? I'm not doing that. I'm not going to subject my family to the fact that we can't go to Disney. But hey, we've never even eaten turkey legs in America.
Just talking about it is making me feel a little
And they sell the air freshener with that scent. I don't get it.
No, I don't either. Like I tell you. Having said that, the ones that I did make were exceptionally good. And if anybody wants to write in or email in, I will give them the recipe. It's very simple. But
literally, no one's going to do that.
No, I know. But hey, you never know.
I think the FBI will be after the list of all the people who bought the air freshener of the turkey leg.
Oh, yeah.
I think they are people of interest, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
What's wrong
In
with
one
you?
way, shape, or form.
Flag, the next time we all have to go and do an Esther.
Yeah.
If you've actually bought one of them turkey leg air fresheners, you have to sort of put it on your Esther application.
Yeah, that can be something you
Reason not to be admitted into the USA.
I think they'll be in jail before they got that problem.
I have to just share that currently there's an ice cream truck outside my window.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I was wondering if you're going to start hearing the music. The neighbors stopped to get ice cream. There's an ice cream truck just sitting in my driveway right now.
We're actually looking at Liz shaped cloud in front of the computer right now. She left like a cartoon about 4 seconds ago.
Oh my God. It's like -3 here, so no ice cream for me.
Let's take orders. Lloyd, what are you having from the ice cream van?
Cornetto, please.
Do they do cornettos in the US?
99.
No.
Cornetto. Have you ever seen Shaun of the Dead with Simon Pegg?
Yes.
So they go and buy cornettos from the corner shop.
Man.
Yeah, it's like pat and you rip it. It's like wrapped up, isn't it?
Or Hot Fuzz with Simon Pegg.
Yeah, I've seen both. It's just been so long since I've seen them.
They sit in the car eating cornettos.
Trilogy, isn't it?
It's called the Cornetto trilogy because they eat cornettos in every single film. It's an Edgar Wright thing.
Yeah.
So that's cornetto in essence.
Films involving Simon Pegg is going to be Lloyd's mastermind sort of speciality, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah, the Cornetto trilogy is going to, or just Cornettos in general.
Right.
Well, let's give Liz another question.
Yeah.
Come on.
This is what happens. We waffle on about.
I asked her to do with the ice cream truck. It's fine.
Favorite transportation mode at Walt Disney World?
Does the people mover count?
Yes, that was my answer. Yes, it does.
Okay.
Definitely.
People mover.
Oh
For
yeah,
sure.
Yes,
100%.
very good choice. Favorite table service restaurant?
Table service.
Coffee.
Can I do a buffet? Does that count?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Then Boma.
I think Lloyd, have you been to Boma? No.
No, we did Gico.
Oh, you did Gico. Right.
We got one night, we were there with mum and dad and they babysat the kids and we were at Boma or Gico because it was the two of us. We went Gico and I left about $300 poorer.
I like Sanaa.
Boma would have been just as good. It was the time off that was most valuable. It wasn't the meal. It was time away from the kids. We should have gone to Boma.
Boma's our favorite for sure. Breakfast or dinner. It's so good.
Cool. Do you stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge a bit, or do you go there just to eat?
Just to eat.
Oh, cool. So it's a lovely resort, isn't it? It gets it's out of the way a bit, so it gets a little bit of stick for being out of the way, but it's just so fantastic.
Yeah, I used to, when I lived in Orlando, we used to go to Boma just for dinner on certain nights. We'd get reservations and just go as if we were going to a restaurant. Just go to Boma.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Imagine that. That's like
Yeah, it was a nice 3 years, just going popping over whenever I wanted.
Oh wow.
Chill.
We've got a dream on the Waffle that if we ever make it, we're going to buy one big house in Golden Oak and all live there, and all have a different wing to the building. And John's going to be the groundskeeper, and then we'll all go and we can go to Disney Springs every night and do whatever.
Yeah.
That's a dream. And you live that dream.
Yeah.
Yep, for 3 years. I lived 5 minutes from Universal, so it's right there.
Amazing.
Oh,
wow. So that fits nicely with the next question. So tell me a resort that you haven't stayed at but want to more than anything else on earth.
It's Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's my number one.
Look at that.
yeah.
Vacation.
Yeah, I've had it on my bucket list for a while and just haven't made it happen yet. And now that we're here, I think it'll be a staycation weekend at some point for sure.
Yeah, it's got to be. This is like the weirdest question ever. Next,
Okay.
you might not even understand it as an American, but favorite car park?
Does that mean like parking garage or parking lot? Okay.
Pretty much. Sammy's not picky.
Let's see. I don't know that I've ever thought about my favorite parking lot before.
Same. It's a stupid question.
It's a great question, Sammy.
I mean, Probably I'm going to go with Epcot again, just because I think it's easy to get in and out of, and I never have to worry about taking the tram. I just always walk it. Now, I haven't been there in a year and a half. It's very sad. So I don't know all the construction they were doing, how it is now, but it used to be the easiest.
I think it's one of those car parks as well, though. Even if you were in the furthest parking bay away from the entrance, you can still walk it.
Yeah, I always walk it. I never take the tram.
Similar to Animal Kingdom. You know, it's just like all the people who are waiting on a tram, it's just like, no, walk. It's quicker.
So quicker.
Yeah.
It's not even that, Sammy. It's the fact that usually, and I have scientifically tried this out, much to the annoyance of my family, is the fact that if you walk, you have to beat the tram. So the speed of your walk.
That is true.
Once the tram is picked up, you generally sort of break into more than just a walk, don't you? Just to make sure that
I've been there, done that. Race the tram.
Just before that tram lets out, and you're started. That's it. Yeah. At least 100 people in the queue for Spaceship Earth.
So, Liz, typhoon, blizzard, or volcano bay?
Volcano.
I know you'd say
all for volcano. I've actually never been to blizzard. I've done the other two, and volcano every day, all day. I'm not even that much into slides, so I just like to do the lazy rivers. But volcano is like such a nice place to just hang out. The atmosphere is so nice that I like to just go chill. Just go to the lazy river, see the volcano.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a beautiful park.
Gorgeous. That volcano, I'm obsessed with it.
Same.
Liz, did you or Sammy have a volcano view last time you stayed at Cabana Bay? Or have you ever had one?
I haven't done it because every time I stay at Cabana, it's during horror nights. And so I don't want that early morning wake up call with the volcano. Because I don't know what time it is, but it's really early. And during horror nights, I'm sleeping until like 11.
I always just prefer to stay like as close to the lobby as possible, because I'm so lazy. So.
A little sleeping cot behind a reception desk would do you, wouldn't it, Sammy?
Honestly, if they had a bed under there, like I'm good then. Like let me sleep there and chill.
Yeah, I've never actually stayed in the tower side of Cabana. We always do the retro side, so never done it.
Hey, that's good, because I actually think the next question is going to be quite an interesting one too, because it goes down the line of Galaxy's Edge or Diagon Alley.
All right, well, that one's easy because I haven't seen Galaxy's Edge
yet.
So Diagon for sure.
Yeah.
Hufflepuff trade.
Yes,
Hufflepuff trade.
I thought you were making a protest or something then. Edit this out, idiot.
No, I have my Hufflepuff top on in regards to Liz, because we're both very proud Hufflepuffs.
Yes, definitely Team Hufflepuff. But I do love Star Wars, so I am excited to see Galaxy's Edge. I just haven't made it with everything that happened. Haven't made it since it opened. Yeah. But I'm also a huge Harry Potter fan, and Diagon Alley is just amazing. So going with Diagon.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, early morning or late night park visits?
Late night.
Yeah.
I'm not a morning person. I really miss the days when the parks stayed open really late at Disney. When I lived in Orlando, it was still the era where they were staying open until 1 or 2 in the morning during the busy times of year. So I would go to the parks at like 10 p.m. and stay till close. It was amazing.
You're on Halloween Horror Nights time always.
Exactly. That's my like ideal. I wake up at like 8 p.m. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go.
Love it.
Keep the magic or backstage detail?
Backstage detail. I like to know the inner workings. I like those secrets.
Yeah.
Which have you done any of the tours in Disney? The backstage tours?
No, I haven't. I'm trying to think of.
I don't think I've seen any on your channel.
No. I was trying to think way back if I'd done any before I was vlogging, and no, I don't think I have.
Have you done any Universal ones? Have you done the Unmasking the Horror?
I did Unmasking the Horror in 2012. It was the only year I've done it. I think 2013 I didn't do it because the houses they were doing were IPs, and then just after that it just got to be more and more expensive and just decided against it. But I did it once in 2012.
Was it good? Because when I think of Unmasking a Horror, I think half of it, if I'm going to go, is not knowing this and that, or was it nice seeing how it all works? Or
yeah, Sammy wants to know everything.
Yeah.
At the time, I was
I've still
living
got bruises. I was a human shield as well for an evening, and I've still
we got those scars.
Cancelling about it.
Back in 2012, I was living in Orlando, so I was going to Horror Nights as many nights as I could because I had whatever frequent Fear Pass they had at the time. So by the time I went on the tour, I'd already been through the houses so many times that seeing the behind the scenes wasn't a spoiler for me. And that year, the tour was Dead End, Gothic, and Penn and Teller, which Dead End and Gothic are two of the best houses they've had in years. So it was really neat to get to do that behind the scenes because they gave the full backstory of both houses that you wouldn't have gotten if you just walked through the house.
Oh, cool.
That was really neat.
And you get to see like everything that you can't see, and like the detail that they go into in these houses is insane. Like things in the corner that's pitch black that you're never going to see, they still theme it. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I think I'd like to talk about this a bit more later on as well, because you know, Liz obviously being would you say expert or specialist on Halloween Horror Nights as well?
I would say so. I would accept that.
I've got a newfound love of it as well. But that point you made there about, you know, seeing the detail, even if when I think about the Stranger Things house from 2019, we moved through so quick.
Yeah.
It just felt like Hopper was shooting a gun behind me all the way around. So I had to just go around another corner. And I can't even remember half of it. Even when it came out, I was thinking, right. So I remember the cabin with the big thing. And I remember going into the, not Never, the upside down.
The Never.
But it was just always so quick. So do you know what? I've even changed my mind about unmasking the horror, because I think it'd be nice to see it, because you do go through so quick.
I think I would say do the houses first, unless you're Sammy. Do the houses first, see them, and then go like the next day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it depends. It depends your terror level. Mine was pretty freaking high, so like I was very happy to kind of see the layout, see what was happening, and everything before I went in. That makes me feel much better. But I totally get why you would want to experience the houses first and then do the.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. The Nightingales one. It was, if I'd have seen it before, I would have picked up on the fact that this same guy or girl is going to get me about 3 times on this one.
Yeah.
Because I jumped the first time, he's got my number now. Because I jumped the first time, he's going to get me every single chance he can now, which I wouldn't have experienced if I'd seen the track.
Right.
If I'd seen my wedding run through. So, yeah, I get that. Sorry, but we'll definitely come back to this in a bit. Yeah, sorry. So all Carousel of Questions.
Right, here we go, Liz. What's your favourite other podcast or vlogger about Disney?
Can't be Smiling Sammy.
Yeah, if you didn't see me,
Sammy. Who do I don't really. There's only like a couple podcasts I listen to. I'm not typically a podcast person, so I'm trying to think of my other favorite vlogs. I definitely love Happiest Vlogs, even though they haven't been vlogging in a long time because of the pandemic, and then she had a baby, so their priorities are changing.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of who else that's down there now still covering. Oh, now I'm blanking on her name.
It's fine, we can edit this.
Good.
What's the driver?
Super Enthused. Super
Jackie,
Enthused. Yeah, Jackie. I was like, I know it's Jackie. I couldn't remember the name of her channel. Super Enthused.
Cool. Oh, and it's me. On-site or off-site?
Oh, on-site.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think it would be so hard for me to stay off-site now. I just love on-site so much.
Yeah, it's just, you can't beat staying in the bubble, either at Universal or Disney. Just staying there, using their transportation. It's just, you can't beat it.
It's so easy. It's just
Liz, what are your thoughts on the dockside at Universal? What's it, dockside and surfside?
Something.
Yeah, I haven't seen them. I saw them in construction. I think they're going to be really nice. I mean, I love Cabana, and I love what Universal does with their value resorts. So I think they're going to be really nice. The only caveat I would say is their location.
That's my point of asking as well, because you talk about a bubble, and it's still a Universal hotel. But Universal's different than Disney, isn't it? Universal's here.
Right.
Disney is like that, but you're still in the bubble. So Universal, the fact they're all here, and then you've got Surfside Inn and Suites and Dockside over there.
Yeah.
Is that still in the bubble? I don't know. I don't know. I'm interested to hear someone who stays there, really, if it still feels like that.
It's not that far away, but for some reason it feels far away. Because the other one, worst case, you can walk them. Worst case, no matter what, you can walk them. It's going to be a long walk to go to the. Definitely. And their buses are great, so it's probably not ever going to be an issue. But yeah, it's a little far. But
I feel like you're not quite. I totally get why they've done it, because they're going to get a lot more of the kind of lower value, like the kind of Disney has their kind of all-star sports. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that kind of version of that. So I totally understand why they've done it, but I don't think I would personally stay there just because I would want to be one, closer, and two, closer.
I think I'll go at some point since we live here. I'll do like a staycation weekend there just to go try it out and see, because we have that luxury of living close now. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't be my choice for horror nights or anything like that. I'd want to be closer.
No. Yeah, you need to walk it, boat it, or bus it.
Yep.
Needs to be an option, doesn't it? Really? Mm-hmm. Well, bus it, you can bus from there, but you know what I
mean. Don't worry about it. So generally, what made you start a YouTube channel?
So as Sammy knows, I'm actually coming up on my 10-year anniversary of starting vlogging, which is crazy.
Wow.
I started in 2011 as a daily vlogger. So I love the theme parks, but my channel had nothing to do with the theme parks back then. I was living in Colorado, and I started watching some of the OGs of YouTube, Charles Trippy and Shay Carl, and they were doing daily vlogs. And I was like, well, I want to do that. I'd always been into reality TV and the Real World and those kind of shows. So I was like, I'll try it. So I vlogged, I think, for about 100 days straight with 2 people watching every video.
Your mom and dad.
Yeah, pretty much.
And some weird guy from some basement apartment somewhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
Some weird guy
there. And I did that for about 100 days. And then the next year, I kind of just posted random videos here and there. But then I moved to Orlando, and the theme parks had always been what I loved. So I just started vlogging every time I went to the theme park. So there was no real rhyme or reason to when I uploaded. But every time I went to the theme parks, I just took my camera and started that way. And then I think 2013, 2014 is when I really started okay, I'm going to try to be consistent with this and really try to build a community out of this. So it started from watching other daily vloggers and just kind of morphed into this hybrid of daily vlogging. Yeah.
And I think it's to me, it's really, this is fascinating because, as a podcast team and as people who've only just sort of got into sort of doing the Waffle on as a live show, we're very much of the opinion, you don't look at your numbers, you don't care about your numbers. And actually, when you start looking into the YouTube thing, it is very number driven, isn't it? And yet, in those early days, that must have been very, very difficult if you're just doing a daily vlog. And I think I said it in a comment on last night I think I was watching on YouTube, and is that just remaining true to yourself that's more important than anything, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think everyone goes through phases with it of learning. You'll get times where, especially early on, that you're really driven by the numbers and you're really focused on the numbers. And then at a certain point, you learn the lesson that the numbers don't matter and it's the people that matter. Or at least that's been my experience. And just kind of forgetting about the numbers. You still want to hit goals. It's still everything. It's I just hit 5K. It's exciting, but I'm just not stressed about it anymore. I'm not doing it for the numbers. I'm not doing it to specifically grow. If I grow, that's great. But I love the community I have right now. And so if I stay at 5K forever, I stay at 5K forever.
It's a lovely point, that, Liz. And it's something that I've recently learned about. I'm new to this whole thing with the waffle. And echoing what John said there, we spoke to Carlos from another Disney show, and he was saying that he sort of enjoys the community, but also the friends he's made. And it echoes with us as well on the waffle. We kind of, it's not necessarily about the numbers who are watching, but it's the numbers we engage with who are watching.
Absolutely.
Because they become more than a watcher, but also the community as well. So it's not so insular as I'm competing with you, I'm competing with you. It's come on our show, have a chat. Come on our show, have a chat.
Right.
Oh, do you know, I'm going for a rough time. Well, ring me up. Or let's go and meet lockdown. Let's go and meet for a beer, or let's do this, or let's do a quiz together. And it's the people who view and the other people in the community. It's something quite special. And I've been trying to figure out if it's just the Disney community.
No, I think
if it's wider or what.
Bigger than Disney, because I think the Horror Nights community is huge on that as well. I think the Horror Nights community is a very tight knit, supportive group. So I think there are other groups out there.
I've probably done the Horror Nights community disservice. I said Disney, and in my head I meant like all sort of, that sort of thing. Yeah. So I'm sorry.
Is it that sort of Orlando thing though? You know, I'm not sure, because I stick my nose into loads of different sporting things. There's not that supportive bit, because everyone sees it as being, if you talk about sports, it's banter and it's any excuse to have a go at people.
Right.
But there is, I think, particularly at the moment, and particularly from across on this side of the Atlantic, there's a very much an awareness that there's a hell of a lot of reaching out towards us in the UK, because the people in America are actually, looking at us being locked down again, and are actually very aware that, your lives are very different. You haven't had the same sort of rules that implied upon yourselves. And I think what we're finding it's a very, very reassuring thing. And what we're finding, certainly as from the Mickey Waffle, what we're finding is that the next time we end up in Orlando, we've got an awful lot of people that we actually, we're going to spend a lot of a vacation going.
It's lovely.
It's
and that's, I think, especially for me, a parent, when I go to Horror Nights, because I don't think I've ever been, maybe once or twice, been recognized at Disney as being a vlogger, but Horror Nights is where I typically get recognized, and that's where I think the community is like huge for me. Like when I go there, there's always people that are like, hey, I'm going on this night, I hope to see you. Like, that's how Sammy and I came together and finally got to hang out, was during Horror Nights time. So I absolutely think there's something special about the Orlando community as a whole, and just everyone having that similar interest in theme parks and that similar love for it, that even if we're completely different people, we have that same passion, and it just brings people together.
Yeah.
And I think as well, at this particular moment, whether you're in any part of the US, and certainly anybody who's listening in the UK as well, we're all in that same position. We all want to get back into those theme parks that we really, really love.
So ready.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
So ready.
And equally, I'll throw into the mix that, we're still looking in America at those people who are very much affiliated on the West Coast with theme parks that have not even opened yet. And that must be so frustrating too.
Wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made the choice not to go back into theme parks in Florida yet, but I at least have the choice.
Yeah.
I feel for those people in California that the park's been closed for almost a year. That's insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and equally, I think we've spoken an awful lot as a group about sort of certain shows in Orlando that we love that have not reopened, and the cast members involved there. But looking across to California, to think of a theme park being completely dark for nigh on a year, it must be, from a business side of things, that is an amazing thing for Disney
to think about,
to carry it equally Universal across there.
Yeah,
those cast members as well. Like, what can they transfer into, or how mobile are they to go and do other things? It's
especially in hospitality. It's not like there's hospitality jobs opening up, especially in California.
No.
It's tough.
It's awful times, but let's not go down that rabbit hole, because we talk about it all the time. And it's a lovely one. It's a lovely one to note as well, because it's a really important thing, and it's affecting so many people.
Absolutely.
And I'd also reiterate as well the fact that if anyone's listening to this and does have that sort of the weight of the world moment on their shoulders, get in touch with us. Through any of our socials or anything like that, get in touch. If
we understand,
just to talk to people, and just to put it out there. And I know that that's coming from the US from an awful lot of people, But I think certainly from our own point of view, for our own listeners, get in touch. If you need to, we're always in here for you.
It'll probably all get filtered through to Ben in the first instance, but if he's tired, he'll filter them out to us.
Yeah, Ben mans the email. Okay, so let's talk about Universal later, and let's start with Disney. So when and where was your first visit to a Disney park?
Ooh, so I was about 3 years old, and my parents took me to, well, we did both Magic Kingdom and Epcot because that's all that existed back then.
Yeah.
So we did a Epcot Magic Kingdom trip, and I grew up 2 hours south of Orlando, so I don't know if it was like a couple days, just like an overnight trip, but there's some really cute pictures of me with my Figment that I still have from my first trip, 1987.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm old.
And do you remember like a specific moment or experience that kind of sparked your love or obsession or whatever you want to call it with Disney?
It's always been Epcot for me. So I specifically remember the original Imagination ride, and that really grabbed me. I loved Figment from the start. But I also did field trips to Epcot in elementary school because, again, we were only 2 hours away. So we used to do field trips. So that really sparked my love for Epcot because we would go and it would be educational. We went to Morocco and studied Morocco on one trip. And then I remember doing interventions and having all the just science-based exhibits back then that I just fell in love with.
The automated lawnmowers out front.
Yes, that is one of my favorite memories from elementary school, is watching the little robot powered. Yes.
Yeah.
Imagine going to like Disney for your like school trip. What the heck? That's amazing.
That'd be cool.
We did SeaWorld and Universal too. Yep.
we went to a telephone exchange. Local telephone exchange to know how they transferred the wires over if you're making a call.
Not quite the same.
Yeah.
Nice one, Greensby Junior School.
I think that's another great reason to be living in sort of Florida myself. I'm putting that on the list.
Yeah,
reasons to move. School trips are better. That's it.
School trips are much better, apparently.
Mm-hmm. It was nice being local.
Jealous, very jealous.
I think moving on from that, because if you're, I'm a great Epcot lover, and I'm going to say I know. Well, we've spoken about this a long time, but for yourself, when they talked about all of the changes within Epcot, and looking now, that D23 bit seems an awful long time ago.
Yeah.
But what are the exciting parts of that you still really would love to see? Because it thrills me, because Epcot does need to move on. I think I as much as I love the historical part of it, it needs to move on. What would you love to see moving into Epcot, apart from a Frozen ride to replace Motion?
From that presentation, I was really excited for one to see the logos come back.
Yeah.
Because I love the original logos. Just love.
Is that the tattoo that you've got?
I've got the tattoo of the original Epcot symbol, and it's actually the colors from the 30th celebration, the 30th anniversary celebration. But that's my only tattoo. I have an Epcot tattoo. That's it so far. And then, but I just love all the original iconography from that. I'm big on characters not coming into Epcot. I know it's too late. It's happened. I need to accept it. But I'm still like fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
I was actually really interested in the Moana experience and how they were going to tie that in with everything. Yeah. And I had hope that it might actually fit.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Is it still happening, or is that one that's been like delayed?
I think it's still happening. I just saw something the other day that they said it won't open 2021, which no surprise there, but I think it's still going forward.
Yeah.
I think it's a big part of what it will be moving on, because I think when you look where the Fountain of Nations was, and the buildings that sort of were around the outside, thankfully, they're no more, but they've still got to spend money to actually put something in place. Yeah,
they already got too far in that. They have to.
Yeah. And I think that's, I'm looking for insider info from people who are in the US, basically.
I don't know there, unfortunately, but I am very sad over the Fountain of Nations. I wish they hadn't started construction on that before all this happened, so that we'd still be there. But I do love the entrance. The new entrance looks amazing.
It does.
The new fountain looks amazing. I can't wait to see it in person.
Yeah.
I definitely think they're doing a good job there. I'm personally glad that they didn't get to touch Spaceship Earth, and it sounds like that's not going to happen. I'm ready for an update.
Judy lives to.
Yes.
20 years grand and miraculous. Whatever.
I'm ready for an update for the second half of the ride.
Yeah.
But I was worried about how they described what they were planning to do, because I was worried it was going to be Spaceship Earth, the story of adding characters into actual history.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
Yeah. I'm on board for that.
No.
The children of a small world take you through the history of the Earth.
Yeah, exactly. That was my fear.
God, no water.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, Liz. So, thinking about the Imagination Pavilion, and thinking about the fact that actually Figment now more than probably at any time for the past probably 10, 15 years is more or less the figurehead of the park. What do you think they could put into the Imagination Pavilion?
Man.
Including Figment, I hasten to add.
Well, whatever it is, it should have the Dreamfinder back.
Yeah.
But I think the ride, namely, if they're gonna redo the Imagination ride, I think it needs to have some imagination. I think right now it's science-based, it's the 5 senses, but until Figment takes over, it's just very cut and dry. And I think it's lacking what the original ride had as far as actually tapping into your imagination. I don't know. I don't know where they take them. I do think he needs to kind of revert back to his previous personality. I don't really care for the current Figment that's in the ride.
Yeah.
And I would love to see the Dreamfinder return and have, even when we were talking about adding characters, I could see when they were talking Inside Out, having like a tie-in with Inside Out and kind of going into the different parts of your brain and how that works rather than the senses.
Yeah. That's great.
So we just talk about this all night now. I'll go through the whole of Epcot. We just sort of keep.
What do you do here?
Do you know something? As someone with a similar tilt towards Epcot, it's such an amazing marriage up, isn't it? You get Figment, and then you actually include some of those Pixar things, and I would also include elements of Soul, which I watched recently, and you can actually see how they could completely just reimagine that whole area and make it, in a way, make it sort of true to itself.
Right.
You know, it's kind of lost its direction and lost its identity, hasn't it? You know,
and why people don't identify with Figment as much as we used to, because he's not that likable in the current ride.
No.
He's cute though.
He's cute.
He's cute.
He's cute. He's annoying.
I can't argue.
I still love him, but
is the Beverly gone now? Can I not get something to drink?
That building's gone, so I don't think they will serve it anywhere.
It's dark.
Don't worry, Coca-Cola will make that return at some point.
But not for free. It was the longest running free drink you ever get in Disney. Coca-Cola will have that again.
No.
Pop over for a little melon frosty.
Yeah.
Free drinks. We're in Disney. Free drinks.
And it's a rite of passage to take your friends in and make them try Beverly. Now all these kids are getting off
I don't mind Beverly now. I used to hate it as a kid, and then I can drink it now. I don't mind it. Reminds me like a tonic water or something. It's not too bad. I love the melon Fanta. That's my favorite.
That's my favorite melon Fanta.
Yeah.
I don't think I've tried any of them.
There are good ones.
There are really nice ones. Really nice.
You can get it at Disney Springs though. At the Coca-Cola experience at Disney Springs. You can get Beverly there.
Yeah. When you get those,
yeah, exactly.
There's those Coca-Cola, was it freestyle machines, isn't that?
Yeah.
And you just get every single product with every single. It's like the Bertie Bott's every flavor bean that you ever thought possible to drink
Don't mention it. She's got PTSD right now.
I know I do. Too many Bean Boozled.
This divides the wafflers, this question, pretty much down the middle. And if you don't go with the one that I like, our friendship is in danger.
No pressure.
You owe me a pass.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Festival of the Lion King or Finding Nemo the musical?
Oh, Festival of the Lion King.
No!
Oh.
Sammy's disowning me.
Finding Nemo.
Don't worry, Sammy. We'll edit that bit out.
Yeah.
Nobody tell Claire.
Finding Nemo.
Nobody tell Claire.
The musical is so good. John cries every time.
To be fair, though, I've never actually seen the Finding Nemo musical, so.
Are you?
No.
It's the best show.
I'll just start spamming you. I'll spam you every single photo, of the thousands that I've taken and videos and stuff like that. Just.
It's
I've
the
seen
best.
pictures of it. I've just never actually.
Oh, you've missed it.
I love Festival of the Lion King. I love it.
John's going to be the thumbs down on all your videos going forward now. If you get a thumbs down, every single one.
I won't. I'll promise.
We have a sudden troll.
I can't
No,
do
we love
that to
the Lion
people.
King, but I think that Finding Nemo is the best show on Disney.
All right, well, we'll go see it whenever we can.
Hopefully it comes back. You have to go and see
I know, fingers crossed.
it. So good. Do you recommend any underrated Disney movies? Like, what's your favorite?
Let's see, underrated.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do two because I'm gonna do one super old school
Okay.
and say Swiss Family Robinson.
Okay.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
And I hope they never touch the treehouse because I love the treehouse. I grew up watching that movie. I love it. And then I would say WALL-E.
Love WALL-E.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's underrated, underrepresented in the parks.
Yeah, no, it totally is. You're right.
Beautiful.
I haven't even thought of WALL-E.
It's a piece of art, isn't it, Wally? Because there's no, apart from the humans on the screen at the start and the humans at the end, there's no dialogue. So it's all just a drawing, it's all a picture. It's art, isn't it? And
I just communicate the feeling. Last fall with Mike because Mike had never seen it. And I just was crying all over again watching it. It's just beautiful.
Did you love it? Did you love it?
I do. I love it.
Did Mike like it?
Oh, he did. He did.
Good.
Yes.
Oh, we're going to have to disown Mike there.
What's your favourite Disney movie then, Liz? Not underrated, but your own favourite.
Aladdin is my favorite of the cartoons or the animated. Let's see. My favorite of all time, though. I mean, I guess Aladdin, and I really like Moana.
Mm-hmm. Moana is good. I like Moana.
What did you think of the live action Aladdin?
It was okay.
I liked it.
I liked it more than I thought I was going to.
Same.
But just as Aladdin being my favorite of all time, it had a lot to live up to,
Yeah, no, 100%. I think Aladdin's my second or third favorite. So, yeah. But I thought it was actually one of the better live action.
It was probably better than I thought.
Yeah, for sure. So now should we move on to Halloween? Let's go. Where did your love of Halloween and Halloween events come from?
Do you know something, Sammy? You've been waiting all night for this. This is just the one question.
Love
it. So I think just my entire life I've loved Halloween. I loved trick-or-treating and that kind of stuff as a kid. I got into horror movies in middle school, which is kind of funny because I don't watch horror movies now. But I like all the classic horror movies from middle school, like watching Halloween and Freddy Krueger and all that stuff. And then I was way too scared to do Halloween Horror Nights. I'd heard about it, was terrified of it. And then in 2001, I was in high school and I was in Orlando for a conference. And some of the other kids that I was there at the conference with knew someone that worked at Universal, got us tickets. Somehow our chaperone said, yes, we could go. And I got peer pressured into going.
Nice. Love that.
So I went for a night. I didn't do a single house because I was way too scared. I just did scare zones, but I was hooked. I loved it. And so I've gone every year except for 2 years. Well, now 3 years since then.
That doesn't count because it wasn't on.
Right.
Okay.
So 2 years. I missed 2002 and I missed 2008. Otherwise, I've been every year since 2001.
Wow.
Proper expert here.
I've got one under my belt. of 1 year.
You gotta start somewhere.
I was like that the first time I went. Ooh.
And have you seen that sort of evolve as well, Liz? Because it must be different, more different now than it was at the beginning.
Oh, it's a drastic change in almost every way.
Yeah.
When I first started going, it was a very small event. I would say there weren't very many houses. There weren't very many crowds. It was only a few weekends. It wasn't even like a big deal. To now where we're having 10 houses, the crowds are insane. It's almost 2 months long. And it's just completely changed from those early years. And in some ways, it's for the better. In some ways, I miss the old days, but I still love it. It's still at the heart the same event. It's just very different these days.
Yeah. Much more popular. Because they split it now, because they have, basically half IPs and then half original houses. And the original houses are always the better houses. It's just how it is. What?
Depths of Fear. Yeah. Do you remember Depths of Fear?
Yes, it was a bagging house and what?
You reckon? The fish people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nightingales was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I love Nightingales.
Depths of Fear was like...
Yeah, but
it was different. I think that's one of the things that happens when you've been going for so long is that you start to see the same things over. They start to repeat IPs. And so an original like Depths of Fear, we'd never seen anything like that before. So even though as a house, it was still like, okay, that's creative. That's different. We've never had fish people before.
Yeah, and you don't know what to expect. Like if you go to an IP house, Stranger Things, Ghostbusters, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, you're walking through.
But I want to be in that. I want to be in Ghostbusters 1. I want to walk through the firehouse. Yeah. I want to be on top of the building. I want to see Zool, and that's what I got from it, and it was great. Yeah. But then the IPs took me somewhere different, and it was a surprise, and I love that aspect as well. So I kind of like both.
But you only did 2 IPs, didn't you?
2, yeah. I only did it one night, didn't I? So, but the Nightingales was amazing. In terms of my dipping my toe in the water of IPs, it was amazing, and the scares were really good. But I love the theming of it as well, and I love the backstory. It was creepy. It'd make a good film on its own. Yeah,
and they put a lot of work into those backstories. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Graveyard Games was one that you missed, and it was so scary. It was so good, but it was so scary. Like,
is that the abandoned theme park?
It's got good
graveyard. It was like a graveyard in Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
And it was just full. There were so many scare actors. It was just full to the brim with like ghosts and scare actors jumping out, and it was so good. Like, it was the only house that I remember having like a low scare. Like, there was an actor like crawling about on his like stomach. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah. When they go for your feet, it's scary.
Yeah. Well, I'm gutted you missed that one because it was a really good one.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it again. I never would have done it. I remember like when we used to go to like Disney World years and years ago, I'd see what was going on. If we were over there that time of year, you'd see what was going on at Universal. And on the flyers, it was always like Jason or Freddie. And I was thinking, it's not my sort of idea of a Floridian holiday, this. It was a bit too much. But actually going and experiencing it, it's just the production value and being in the movie for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And the scares are good fun. The scare zones are good fun. And it was just, I'm converted completely. I never would have done it. I did it on an off chance. And I'm sold now. Completely.
They don't film the houses. So unless you go and you get like a bootleg version on YouTube that someone films, you don't get the idea of the scope and scale and how much detail are in the houses to realize you're basically walking through TV or movie sets.
Yeah.
Scary people in them.
Like replicas, like down to a T.
Yeah. Killer Clowns from Outer Space scared the hell out of me. Well, not scared me, it just creeped me out. The hairs on my arms were standing up like before I went in. Because when we were waiting to go into Universal, we're waiting for the gate to open. The scare actors came out, and then one of these clowns sat right next to me. I don't know how he knew that I was freaked out with them growing up. But then my hairs and my arms.
You can just sense it.
I don't know if you can see that. It's just horrible.
I know. I forced myself to fear. That was the one I was like. The Killer Clowns one was like, okay, this is the one I'm going to find the least scary. So like, I made Lloyd go in it with.
It was horrible. It was just, it brought back so many like childhood memories of. I don't ever watch the film, but I saw the film in the video shop all the time, and I would just thought, I don't like clowns anyway, but that house just, oh man, I'll never get over it.
Like, whatever.
Yeah. But then I've got bruises from her in Ghostbusters.
Liz.
What was that, Sammy?
I said I ended up going through that one without clinging on to Liz.
Yeah. On her own.
Great. So what's the scariest Horror Nights house that you've been to?
Oh, I would say, Scarecrow. I had to think about it for like 2 seconds. Scarecrow in 2017.
Yeah.
That one was terrifying. It was in a tent, so it was very claustrophobic, very tight spaces, and both casts on that house just gave it their all. There was something about how they built all the spaces really tight in where you couldn't really escape anywhere. So it kind of had a similar feel to Nightingale's, but just even worse than that as far as being tight. And the scare actors were just terrifying. I think most people have that as their favorite house from the past decade. Whatever.
Cool. What did you do? Yeti, was it Yeti of the Yukon? Was that one? I wanted to do that and it didn't in the end. Was that any good?
Oh, you missed that. That was a great one.
I was very scared.
That one was really good. Definitely one of my favorite. I think it was my third favorite last year.
Did they make it cold? Did you have bits with snow in it?
Yes.
And they made it right.
Yeah, and it was one of the times they crank it down.
I think you didn't do it because I was too scared to do it.
Well, we saw this. We were in the queue. We were in the queue for Stranger Things, and the scare actors walked past us, didn't they?
Yeah,
they're big
with all their big gloves on, and you were like, "I ain't doing that."
I was like, "I'm not doing that house."
She did it,
and then Liz dragged me on it.
Yep, she did it.
Oh,
it was good. It was good. I think I'm totally converted now. I don't think I'm brave enough to do it by myself yet, but
you gotta work up to that.
As long as I have someone to like be in front of me and lead the way, I think I'm good now. I'm good.
See, that's my favorite thing is when I get to go by myself.
Yeah.
I love like literally having the house to myself. I did it with Graveyard Games and Nightingales last year. Those are the only two I could get by myself. Just at the end of the night, like right before closing, ran both of them. Literally just me going through the house. It was amazing.
Oh, awesome.
You get every single scare.
You do Nightingales like 2 or 3 times in a row or something?
Yeah, so that particular night, I did Graveyard Games by myself. And so I was like, okay, if it's this dead back here, I'm sure Nightingales is too. So I ran to Nightingales, did it by myself, had such a great experience that I ran back in line, did it 2 more times, and then did the same thing the next night.
Yeah.
Right at close. It was amazing.
Yeah. Sounds
amazing. I mean, you can actually take a moment with each actor too, where they come out, and if they get you, you can be like, good job, good job. Like, you don't have to like rush through the house.
Yeah, you can take it like really slow paced.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. And like, I see it obviously in all your Halloween Horror Nights videos that I've watched. You just like make friends with all the scare actors, and stuff. And like it's so funny to see you guys interact with them like over and over and over again, and then actually like be friends outside of it because through that event.
Well, speaking of that trip of Nightingales, so that first night that I did it and went by myself, I was walking through and got to the hallway that had the lion on it. Mm-hmm. And the scare actor actually came out looking to make sure there wasn't like someone lost, basically to help them through the next scene. So he came around and saw me, and then he started like beckoning me toward him. And so then every time he recognized me the next 2 times. And so then the next 3 nights I came through, and then I told my best friend about this method. So she started going through. So eventually we found out who he was, and now we're friends with him.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's rare to happen in the houses. It almost always happens in the scare zone where they realize I'm filming. They start to have fun with me. They realize I come like 6 nights in a row, and we develop a friendship. But in a house, that's pretty rare. So that was pretty special.
If someone was, worried about, wanted to go, but they were scared or, weren't too sure, kind of what would you say to them to encourage them to go?
So I would say go and test the waters with scare zones first. There's no shame in that. I did that for my first 3 years. I did not go into a house until my 4th year of Horror Nights. I just used to go and do scare zones and ride the rides. And I think once you've done the scare zones and you can get the idea of, okay, people are going to come up and startle you, but it's just people in costume. They're not going to touch you. They can't grab you. It's just people in costume kind of scaring you. Once you get that feel, I would say go for the house. know that it's only like 2 or 3 minutes to walk through. It's pretty fast. You're going to always have someone, for the most part, in front of you and behind you, protecting you. And again, it's just people in costume. It's fun. Enjoy the experience. Laugh at your friends getting scared. And give it a shot, because I was a complete scaredy cat. And as soon as I did my first house, I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't that much worse than the scare zone. I can do this.
Yeah, it definitely helps, having someone who's been there before. I think like it really helps. But yeah, just do it. Like, even if, like you said, even if you don't do the houses, the scare zones and the atmosphere and, being able to ride the rides in the dark and with no queue, like that's still worth going on its own.
I agree.
100%.
I agree. The scare zones are amazing. So even if you just go do the scare zones and the rides.
Yeah.
I got a cracking photo this year of, I think it was on the main drag going in, of all the arcade machines there. And all the on stilts with the glowing up swords or masks and things. It was just going in, and that was my first experience with scare zone.
There's one right there.
I got 2 of them there. Behind me.
Oh yeah, there. Oh, I've got to change my finger to that one.
My photographer, this one.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do this backwards. And this one.
Yeah.
my friend Gary took those photos, and then it was turned into art. So
yeah.
But yeah, I love that. The visuals of that scare zone were just gorgeous.
Yeah,
they were. 100%. There was a few on stilts as well. I remember, and there was a girl on stilts as well, dressed very scantily.
Yeah, that one that Liz is pointing to.
Yeah, that's her.
Just like mail Lloyd and tell him where you can get one.
Yeah, I will.
But yeah. Okay, so
I actually think it's a really interesting one though, Liz, because I've never been in Orlando at that particular time of year, and having watched your vlogs about it, having heard Sammy and Lloyd talk about their experience as well, it really is one of those things that you start thinking it's something I really do need to put on the list. And it's just like, it sounds amazing. It really does.
I think more people are falling in love with
it sets Universal apart, really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it does bring that whole scare element into it, and I think as well it's maybe not one to take young kids to, but it's certainly something that when you're a big kid,
I think once you get,
really brings it into its own, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's a rite of passage that even when I was growing up, it was something that I knew existed, but I knew I was not old enough to go. And so it was a rite of passage when I finally did go, like, okay, I'm old enough to go now. Yeah. And I think that's becoming more and more a thing of people like waiting till they're old enough to go and then just falling in love with it. And more people coming from the UK, coming specifically for Horror Nights.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Me now. Literally me.
For people who are listening just on headphones and not watching this, Sammy's now pointing at Lloyd. That's we're getting to bad habits here, Samantha. Yeah.
I did it. We had did we go for 2? I think we had 2 weeks, and we didn't do parks. And I went to Halloween Horror Nights twice, so it says something for it. That's the only thing we chose to do. Well, say we. Yeah. I chose to do, and it was 2 nights Halloween Horror Nights.
Your partner
amazing. Yeah, they were back at the hotel. Bless them. But it was amazing. And the first night I went, I just did the ride because I wasn't going to Universal in the day. I just did the rides, and I was WhatsApping John the whole time, and because it was late in English time. Yeah. And I was basically, I've just walked on this, I've walked on this, I've walked on this, I've walked on this, and I went through all the big rides, and then I was like, right, do you know what? I'm coming back again to do Halloween Horror Nights, and tonight cost me what, $30 to do the whole of Universal. So I got to experience the scare zones and rides for $30, and even that was amazing. And then the houses were just something else. It was just
next time you have to do them all for sure.
I booked last night to go over in October.
Yeah,
nice.
Dear old burglars who are listening to this podcast, I've just booked my house vacant.
I know. I'm leaving my house between this date and this date.
We're going. We've got May, so May or may not happen. If it doesn't happen, well, we've booked October anyway, so we're either having 2 or 1 holiday. So in October anyway. But again, it's if I can get the excuse to leave the whole family and go out on my own for a night.
It's going to be interesting for me this year because the past 4 years we've done a week in September.
Yeah.
Done as many nights of Horror Nights I could in that 1 week. And now I live here again. So in theory, I know we'll do a staycation and still go for like, not like a full week, but we'll probably do like a long weekend and try to get like 5 nights of Horror Nights in there. But aside from that, I'll probably be back on the weekends and get to go the entire season, which is fun because the other part of Horror Nights, where if you're local, it changes through those 2 months. You know, if you go really early in the run, the houses are in pristine condition, but the actors are still kind of learning their spot. If you go late in the run, the houses are kind of falling apart, but the actors are pros at that point and know what they're doing. And it just, you see the whole transition of it if you're local.
The lion doesn't work, but the nightingales are spot on.
I've never seen the lion working once.
That's the problem with being the earliest. Sometimes effects aren't working yet. Like they rush to put things in and then it didn't happen yet. So opening weekend sometimes is the worst time to go because costumes aren't done yet or sets aren't done yet. And then they add stuff as the time goes on. So
well, I know you're not you like the new thought of houses, but if there was sort of an IP, not even just limited to Universal, what do you think would make it, or what would you love to see as a house to walk through and be part of that movie or experience? So
I actually have a video game that I've wanted them to do for a very long time, and that's BioShock. I don't know if any of you are familiar with BioShock.
That's a bit underwater as well, isn't it?
Yeah, they did a house that was
last year.
They did a house, I forget, I think it was 2010, that was called Saws and Steam. And it definitely took that idea of having a utopian society and had that similar feel. And there was even like a guy in a scuba suit at the end. So I'm pretty sure it was like their nod to BioShock, but they've never done a full BioShock house. And if you're not familiar with BioShock, check it out because I think it'd be a great spooky house.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, what would you like to see, Lloyd?
Do you know what? I thought about this for a few shows back, and I can't remember what I thought then. But just off the spot now, I'd love a Gremlins one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gremlins would be cool.
It's October. It's leading up to Christmas anyway. And Gremlins, I always consider a Christmas movie. You know, that's probably controversial, that. But I think there's different scenes, and then you walk through the cinema scene where they're playing Snow White. You know, all of a sudden they're breaking through this screen as you got to run to the next scene or whatever. You know,
it's been on the rumors list, so that might happen.
Ooh,
that's something that could happen over the next few years.
Yep, I would not be shocked to see it in the next few years.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I wouldn't sleep again. It would scare the hell out of me. Because they can hide under the bed. Even at 41 years old, they can still be hiding under the bed. So I could never sleep again.
You made the mistake of watching Gremlins when it was on the telly over Christmas, like, didn't you? You're now saying you never slept after watching it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like child's play because he's small. Chucky's. It's like I can't sleep because he could. I know it doesn't exist, but because it's small, it's like, well, he could be under. Well, he's not going to be under the bed, but he could be under the bed.
They had a Chucky house years ago.
I couldn't do that one. That would be silly clowns.
It was a good one.
John, what would you choose?
I've got no idea. I've got no expectation, and having not done it,
right.
I love the sound of certainly what we've shared tonight, but it's something that really intrigues me.
Yeah.
You know, and I've not been to Florida at that time of year, and unfortunately not being able to participate. But it'd be just that whole feeling as an adult to be scared.
Yeah, that's great.
And that whole fear bit is the bit I really would love to. I'd really love to do.
Yeah, it was great watching Lloyd screaming.
How about a Predator or an Aliens versus Predator house?
I think I've been through like an Alien.
It's been in Alien's house before.
Alien versus Predator specifically.
Oh, okay.
2014, I think.
Oh, I knew there was an Aliens one. Didn't realize there'd been Alien. Right.
I don't know, but I think like if
it was good too.
The scariest movie I've ever seen is The Grudge. But I don't even think I could bring myself to walk through that.
Yeah, that would be rough. I have seen that.
So I don't know. I'm trying to think what I would do. Maybe like for a fun factor, like Saw, just to see all the like elaborate traps and stuff. That'd be quite exciting. But
they've done Saw, haven't they? Have they had Saw?
Did they?
Yeah.
Damn it.
No, you missed this.
I'm like going through all my history in my mind. I think that was 2000. It was before 2010. So
Yeah, I was gonna say like before I kind of.
They had a Saw 4 house a couple of years ago based on the new movie, and it was terrible. But the original Saw house they did was actually in the Jaws queue, so that's how old it was. That's a long time ago.
Right, old.
It was actually good because they had all the traps.
Yeah.
Like the movie.
I've had a thought there. So October, end of the year, sort of maybe Easter time, March, April. They should do like a Halloween Horror Nights, but it's not horror. So you go through a house and it's Back to the Future, like scenes from Back to the Future. So you still get the scares because you'll get like something happening just out the blue. So you get the shocks, but it's not horror. It's just going through your movies.
It would be neat
to do that.
And I think it would be very popular.
Yeah.
And they can have that for free as long as they do it.
No.
Universal. Let's email the CEO right now.
They could have kept it.
Start at 20%. It'll have to a gold note.
Yeah, exactly. How good would that be? Because the level of it's just another nod to Halloween Horror Nights of the excellent work they do. It's so amazing, the production value in there. I'm just thinking, why limit it to horror? Why not walk through your favorite movie? You know, Rise of the Resistance, that's a ride, and that can only get so many people through, and it's cost so much to do. But how about just creating that soundstage of not Star Wars, but something else where so many people can walk through and experience it of an evening, and they're in their favorite movie?
It's a very unique experience to get to walk through it. And yeah, you're right. Like if you're not someone that goes to horror nights, you don't ever get to experience that feeling. And it's very special getting to walk through your favorite show or TV show or movie.
It would fit so
I got it Ghost,
wouldn't it?
Even Ghostbusters, so Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, that's the one out. This is not
horror, Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
they're missing a trick.
Yeah,
missing a trick.
No,
get them.
I go with that because I actually think that would be something that, you know, when you're sort of going into this sort of virtual reality or augmented reality and all this, you could actually do it within a theme park setting, actually quite simply. And again, that Ghostbusters part would be amazing to actually see how you could just take that to the next level, couldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have the sound stages to do it.
Yeah.
So
maybe one day.
Maybe listen to this podcast.
And Will Smith listens to this podcast as well, but that's
no, he doesn't. That's only in your dreams.
Ever since you commented about me, listens now, Sammy.
If Tom Holland listens.
Tom Holland has a restraining order against this podcast.
Sure, I don't know.
And a lawsuit for defamation
against Tom Holland, isn't it?
Does that mean he won't come on for an episode?
Not anymore. Not unless he wants to go as
my dream co-host, Tom Holland. Right. Does anyone have any other questions for Liz before I wrap up with the last question?
No, I'm gonna let you ask the last question, Sammy, because actually it's something that I'm interested in. Is the last one, because actually I think from what we've become part of as a bigger group, I think, Liz, given what you've told us tonight and your experiences of being a YouTuber, it actually, you know, I know Sammy's gone and done her thing, but you know, for minions like me, who this time last year didn't even have a social media account, it's
granddad.
Yeah, but it's something that actually it really does come to something that I'm actually inspired by as well. So, sorry, go on, fire away.
Well, I'm going to ask 2 questions now because that wasn't the one I was going to ask.
Oh, okay, go on then.
Okay, we'll go with what one do you want? I'll go with this big one first, then we'll
go on.
So this is a question we've recently kind of added into our shows to ask people. So you imagine you're hosting a dinner party. Okay. You have one guest of honor who already has a seat, and that's Walt Disney.
Okay.
But you can invite 5 other people to this dinner party. Usually we just say those guests can be Disney characters within the parks or films, cast members, like Disney employees, stuff like that, dead or alive. But for this, I'm going to also say that you can include Universal characters, Universal people, like anything like that. So you've got a Disney and Universal guest list.
Oh, this is tough.
5 people.
All right, so we've got Walt Disney. He's there.
He's there.
I would say I would bring in Mike Aiello, who, if you're not familiar, is big Horror Nights important person. Now he's Universal important person, but formerly Horror Nights important person, very into the creative side of the event. Would love to just pick his brain. I would bring in Brendan Fraser as his character from The Mummy.
100%.
With coffee. With coffee for him. I would bring in the Dreamfinder as the Dreamfinder.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be good.
Yep. Okay. The Dreamfinder.
That might be hard because he's currently in a cell with Willy Wonka and the child catcher.
I mean, Walt Disney's there. I'm sure we can find a way to bring the Dreamfinder in. Let's see. Number 4. Dame Judi Dench. Just let her
chat.
Recite Spaceship Earth. Talk about the grand and
not Martin Short.
No. We're gonna skip him. We'll bring in Will Smith since he watches the podcast, right? Listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
That's
us.
He's Men in Black. I guess he counts for both because he's been in Aladdin and in Men in Black. So he's both Universal and Disney.
You didn't even invite Mike. How rude.
No. I've got Brendan Fraser there. I'm good.
Yeah, that's
for this weekend.
You see Mike every day.
And then let's see, one more character.
No, that was it. That was 5, isn't it?
Oh, 5? That was it?
Yeah.
I'm done. There we go. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Will Smith, Brendan Fraser, Mike Aiello,
Dreamfinder,
and Judi Dench.
I'll turn around and tell Liz what a great choice of dining guest that would be.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fab.
Diverse.
I'm definitely super down for like Mike Aiello and Will Smith.
Yeah. And the Dreamfinder in there, the
Dreamfinder. I don't think anyone's thought of that before.
No.
I think that would end up being quite an intriguing sort of whole experience to that early Epcot era. And I'm right with you on that.
John approves. Okay, now I'll ask the question that John wanted me to ask.
The big question that set up earlier, and
that you beautifully set up that I just crashed down in flames. If you could offer one piece of advice to a content creator, what would it be?
So I went into this a little bit during my Vlogmas because Sammy actually asked me a similar question. And I would say never take the community that's around you for granted. And we've kind of talked about that already. But I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have from YouTube, from the Horror Nights community, every facet of that is that the community is really at the heart of everything we do. The people that you meet along the way are going to be the most valuable part of it. And just those bonds that you create, the friendships that you create are priceless. Yeah.
And they'll last way longer than your content.
Because 5 years from now, YouTube might not even exist. Exactly. But I know that the friendship I made will.
100%.
That's true and lovely.
That's what a lovely note to end on. So if anyone listening wants to find you, Liz, where can they do that?
I am DiscoLiz everywhere on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's easy. DiscoLiz.
DiscoLiz all over the place. Yep. Thank you so much, Liz, for coming to join us. And thank you to everyone who's listening to us waffle on about Lloyd's bent fingers and all that. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the GP Mickey Waffle. And our YouTube channel is the Great British Mickey Waffle. You can also get in touch with us by email at themickeywaffle@gmail.com. If you're listening for the first time, then don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Or you can subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to hear more of us from the Great British Mickey Waffle. So until next time, waffle on!
Waffle on!